And welcome to the Breaakin Broncos podcast. I am your host, Dan Wetstein, and as always, I am here with my co-host, Dylan Miles. How are we doing today, my guy? We got all kinds of things. We got the franchise tag deadline. Off-season's going off crazy as we
State
expected
basketball.
It. Right, you got state basketball going on, man. We just got all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
I think I'll leave tomorrow or Thursday. I'm not sure yet.
Okay, gotcha. So go ahead and tell the people, you are covering which girls basketball team?
Sedgwick County. Well, both. I do the boys and girls.
Boys and girls. And the girls made it to state.
Girls made it to state.
Gotcha. So girls have made it to state. So congratulations, Sedgwick County girls, on making it to state. Go ahead and whoop that booty. Whoop that booty. Whoop that trick.
2 seed, so I hope so.
A 2 seed. Okay, so y'all going in with expectations. Okay, go get them. Whoop them. Let's go.
Just won a bunch of volleyballs.
And you shall get your trophy. I can promise, because after what happened in Alabama this past weekend, oh my goodness, I don't think anybody's ever going to take trophies away from girls again. But I digress. Talking about, let's go from taking things away to giving things. And today was the franchise franchise tag deadline in the NFL, which means that today was the last day that teams could put any one of the 3 franchise tags on their players. And for those of you that might not know, those are the non-exclusive franchise tag, which is, as it says, it is non-exclusive, which means that they tag the player, and the player has the ability to talk to other teams about a contract starting at the new league year on March 15th.
It's getting close.
Right. And they can accept a contract from another team, but the team that they are with has the right of first refusal, which means they can match the offer, or they can say, no, we don't want to match the offer. And then the team that signs said player has to give back 2 first-round picks. I know, complicated, but stay with me. Next one is the non-exclusive tag. The next one is exclusive franchise tag, which, as it states, is exclusive, which means that nobody else gets to talk to the player. Nobody else gets to touch the player. A lot like for those in Broncos country, what happened with Demetrius Thomas and Nick Money and a bunch of other guys that got tagged, and then Justin Simmons for
they only get one of those, right? Per season,
you only
right?
get only one of any of these. You can only use one of these tags at all.
Yeah,
period.
You say you can't use both. You can use one or the other.
Right. Yeah, it's one or the other. Or
I knew it was one, but I couldn't remember if you could use both or not. But yeah,
no, it's one or the other. And there's a third one, which is the transition tag, which is kind of like the non-exclusive, except the differentiation is the team that puts the tag on them doesn't get anything back. They just get the opportunity to match whatever contract that player gets from another team if they can. And that's where the tricky part comes in. And the reason why I broke those down is because it's very important that this is the first time I can remember that there is not a single exclusive tag on any player. No team used a single exclusive tag this year.
It's just surprising.
There was 6 players tagged. Half of them were running backs. That tells you a little bit something about how they're using the franchise tag. But
it's a pretty. I will say with these tags, it is a pretty heavy running back class coming up for the draft.
Yes, it really is. Really heavy running back class. This is again why I tell people a million times: don't pay running backs, and mamas and daddies, don't let your boys grow up to be running backs because they just don't get the respect. No, you don't pay for past performance, and unfortunately, with running backs, that's typically how they have to make money because by the time they come due for a contract, they've been wore out. The tread has been run, and there's nothing left. Every once in a while, you get an Adrian Peterson or a Frank Gore that ends up going into their late or mid-30s or so. But most of them are pretty much wore out by the time
Frank Gore, you go to your mid-40s.
Right, exactly. But again, that's a unicorn. That's one guy. So it doesn't typically happen. But again, 6 franchise tags, all non-exclusive. And the biggest one that I think really got everybody, but it was kind of expected, was Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, yes, I read in a bunch on this morning.
For the Ravens. It makes no sense to me. You got to, everybody wants a franchise guy. Everybody wants the franchise quarterback. You got a former MVP. I don't care whatever semantics you want to use to talk about him being a running quarterback, or people need to respect the fact. Yeah, respect the fact he's a quarterback that can run. He is not a running back that can throw.
He shut up the running back talks.
Yes, exactly.
Most of them, at least.
Yeah, they should have. Anybody that wants to sit there and talk about him, like he is not Justin Fields, and Justin Fields is not Lamar Jackson. Like
Right.
that's where people get it twisted. Like everybody wants to sit here and talk about Justin Fields and like he's in the same league as Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, and even Jalen Hurts is not in the same league as Lamar Jackson. It's Lamar Jackson here, and then everybody else after that down here when it comes to that type of dual threat quarterback. Nobody does both as good as Lamar. There's some that throw it better. There's some that might even a little bit run it better, like maybe Justin Fields, but even that's a stretch. Josh Allen maybe in that tier, but nobody does both as good as Lamar. Josh Allen is close, but he's much more of a passer.
The only people you can compare them to are people who are out of the league, like a Donovan
Right.
McNabb, Mike Vick.
Yeah, Steve McNair in his early years
was one
before he really
Warren
became
Moon.
just Air McNair. Yeah, Warren Moon wasn't really much.
No, he didn't really run. No, he didn't
Like,
really run much.
Yeah, him or Doug Williams. Like a lot of people,
But he did
put
move.
them in there.
He did move.
He was good in the pocket. Like he was more of like a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning. He was very mobile in the pocket. Like he ran like a 5-something 40. So like, he was nowhere.
Who was I
near
thinking of?
fast.
It wasn't Warren Moon. That just came in. That popped into my head because it was Titans Oilers.
Randall Cunningham.
Cunningham. That's who I was thinking of.
Yes.
Cunningham.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a really good Mr. Gumby himself. I loved Randall Cunningham.
They should have been in that Super Bowl against the Broncos, but every Broncos fan is probably glad they're not.
Probably because I don't know how well that would have went with.
It was a Randy Moss rookie season. That was like an NFL
and
vet.
Chris Carter was still on that team. Robert Smith was still at the peak of his performance. Like yes, that Minnesota Vikings team. They might be one of the best teams to never make the Super Bowl.
I've been on record saying they are the best team to never win the Super Bowl.
There's not much argument you can have against it.
Anybody can say Patriots undefeated, and I don't care.
Right.
Vikings
but they made it to the Super Bowl.
That's the difference. They made it.
Yeah, so that disqualifies them from this discussion. So I'm with you. Yeah, they don't count. They made it. So I'm 100%.
Yeah, but back on Lamar though is also when you go look at like he's got the non-exclusive, right? That means he can explore, and this is kind of good for him because imagine he goes out there and a team gives him an offer he can't refuse. I don't think the Ravens will try and match it. They've already shown that they probably are done with Lamar.
I won't say that they're done, but I think
but it just keeps looking like that every time that every move.
To me, the front office trying to put the player in his place. And I think it's going to backfire.
It is.
Because like we were talking about it before the show. Like you look at a Chicago Bears team. They have almost $100 million in cap space. Okay?
They're one, aren't they? They were one.
Yeah, they're number one by far. I think the next closest team is like 30 million below them. Like they are way above. Like whoever they want, they can go and get overpay for, and nobody can match.
Yeah, and they have the picks. They have the first overall pick of the draft.
Exactly. Yeah, they have extra picks, and they can go out and they can afford to give up, because if you're going to give up the number one overall pick, you got to get back a franchise quarterback in return, right? Well, what is Lamar Jackson? He is a franchise quarterback.
And then look at the quarterbacks in this class coming up.
Right. I mean, there's a couple of guys you think might be able to make it, but there's so many that have boom or bust all over them. Like Anthony Richardson, major boomer bust. I know he wants to sit there and say that he's the next Lamar Jackson. I don't see it. Not throwing the ball. I love how they say the next Lamar Jackson. You're never going to see another Lamar Jackson. No, I mean, he's close. Especially when it comes to running the ball. He ran a 4.43.
How come this couldn't have been last season?
Right?
How come this couldn't have been last season, man? I would have loved to have Lamar in Denver.
I'm saying, bro, I would have been happy for the Broncos to sign it. Just sign.
Hey, I still love Russ. Don't get me wrong. I love Russ.
Right? No. But I'm saying, like, if this would have happened, it would have been before the Russ thing. And Lamar's so much younger, already has an MVP. I mean, it's crazy to think Lamar has an MVP before Russell Wilson gets an MVP vote.
Right.
Like, think about it. That's insanity. But I mean, but it makes sense because of what Lamar Jackson is and who he is. He is that new breed of quarterback. He is everything everybody hoped Michael Vick would be. And he does it both on and off the field. He has been a model citizen. He has been a model teammate. He has done and said every single thing you could have asked for him. And the only thing he asked in return was to get paid at market rate with a guaranteed contract, because he knows that he plays a risky style of quarterback, and he does it willingly for a team that will beat him into the ground.
Look at some of the hits he's taken. He's taken some dirty and nasty hits.
Nobody comes, like, Josh Allen is the next closest guy to him when it comes to rushing attempts.
Right.
And it's not even close. It's like 500 attempt difference between the two.
I love it when people still try to compare
like he does.
Lamar to Cam Newton.
Right. There's none.
2 to 3 great seasons. Good seasons. One great.
And Cam could never throw the ball like Lamar can.
I mean, like, Cam could throw it, but he couldn't throw it like Lamar. Like, Lamar
he had a strong arm.
Yeah.
He had the accuracy is not even close. It's not even like Lamar.
I don't know why he gets dogged on his passing. His passing is fantastic.
I know, right? Like, when he does sit back and chuck it, like we saw it the last 2 years, multiple 300-yard games, multiple 3,000, 4,000 yard plus seasons passing.
It was like we were
1,000-yard rushing seasons. Like, the man is a freak. He is a freak. And he deserves to be paid like somebody. Like, I know a lot of people are consternating about the fact that so many teams came out and said they don't want Lamar. They're not.
Right.
This is the lying season. They're not going to tell people. They're not going to, because then that creates more competition, which means a higher price tag. So they're not going to tell.
Think back to, like, the Russell Wilson trade too. It's not like the Broncos or any other team that tried to trade, because it wasn't just the Broncos trying to trade for him. They just had the deal. They got the good deal.
Yes, they got the best deal, and that's where Russ wanted to go.
Right.
Like, he had a no trade clause. A lot of people forget about that. It's like Russ chose the Broncos as much as the Broncos chose Russ. He had a full no trade clause. Full.
And you got to think of all those teams that contacted them. I guarantee you over half the teams in the league contacted.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm saying, like, at least. And I mean, there was talk about Chicago was going to give them 3 or 4 first rounders. If they were going to give that
was the year before.
If they were going to give up
that was
that
the wild one.
Right. And if that was what they were going to be willing to give up for Russell Wilson,
we got to steal.
Lamar Jackson, bro. Like, Lamar Jackson, he's everything Russ ever was, and then some.
I mean, like, and just look, look at all the stuff you have to give away. The only one that you look at right now is the first overall pick. That can get you into any deal, any trade in the offseason.
Right.
And I mean, everybody, dude, even if, like, let's say the Bills would
win. It just makes sense for both
I
teams.
would think any team, you'd be crazy for any team. I don't care who your quarterback is, unless you're the Chiefs or the Bills, that they would look into it. You look into it.
Yeah, like, outside of like you said,
select few.
The Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, the Eagles. Teams that already have their friend. But there's the Raiders, the Bears. Like, I don't care.
I wouldn't say the Saints. They signed Derek Carr, and good for Derek Carr.
He got his paycheck.
He did the smart thing and not going for the trade.
Right.
I love that. That was like the biggest FU to the Raiders. He did not
allow the Raiders to fleece a team that he was going to. He made sure that wherever he went, they were able to use everything they had to build around him.
Right.
In a way that Las Vegas and Oakland never did. So I give all the kudos to Derek. And I said it on Twitter when I said it on Twitter when people were sitting there laughing. I was like, dude, y'all don't understand. The Saints only have the 29th pick in the draft. They're not getting a quarterback at 29. There was talk that Anthony Richardson might fall, but that's before he went and destroyed. Yeah, that's before he destroyed the combine. Right. Like, the man went out and set new records in almost everything when it came to quarterbacks, when it came to arm strength, when it came to 40 time, broad jump.
Dude, his broad jump vertical was nuts.
It's the all-time record. No quarterback has ever even touched that. Right, like
this is like a running back receiver type broad jump.
Right, exactly. Like, he was giving out numbers that you see from exactly that, from wide receivers, cornerbacks, and occasionally a safety.
He's got an arm.
Right,
and
he's got a cannon. Now, is he that accurate? No. That's why I say, like, there's some guys and Will Levis. Will Levis worries me too. Like, I see a lot of bust potential in him too. CJ Stroud. Until I see an Ohio State quarterback come in the league and actually do something, I don't believe that they're any good. And I think
Ohio State is best at producing defensive players. I don't care what anybody says.
And wide receivers now.
And receivers and defensive players.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, especially pass rushers and
linebackers.
Cornerbacks.
Oh, and corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Linebackers goes third on that list.
Yeah, but really, I think you're right. I think defense is probably the best monikers. They really kind of pump out a little bit of everything.
I will make fun of Ohio State all I want for their offense, but I will always give props to their defense.
But specifically their quarterbacks. Like everything, like their offensive, they pump out some pretty good offensive
their linemen are good.
Good wide receivers, a couple of good running backs.
A couple of good backs.
But overall, it's just something about those it reminds me of USC back with Pete Carroll. It's something about these powerhouse schools where
Texas
there's just so much. Yeah, Texas is another one. It's like their talent is so much higher than the guys around them. Their quarterbacks are so used to playing an easy game. Their guys they always have a wide open guy. Always. Now they come to the NFL and all of a sudden nobody's open. To them, nobody's open. They don't understand that a window this big in the NFL is as big as you're going to get. And they never want to actually stick it in there. So, until an OSU quarterback comes out and does something, I won't believe it. Justin Fields is not that guy. I know y'all want to try and tout him, but he's not. He is a running back that can throw a little bit. He is a slightly better version of Tim Tebow. And y'all can vilify him. Y'all can say whatever you want from Chicago. I'm right here in Denver, baby.
Or Denver, because people still rub them the wrong way if you bring up Tebow. It was a fun season.
Yes.
It was a crazy season.
But
Tebow only showed up for the last 5 minutes.
Yes, it was a fun ride at points. But dude, everybody wants to talk about all the wins. They want to forget about the 2 times they faced an actually good team in the New England Patriots and got mollywopped. They lost by an average of 45 points.
And you know what's funny? That is the only time that Tom Brady has ever and the Patriots have ever beaten the Broncos in the playoffs.
Yep, that is the only with Tim Tebow. So there y'all go.
Couldn't even beat Jake Plummer, but Jake Snake was the man.
Oh, he was.
Love Jake.
I love
my
Jake.
Favorite. That's my favorite. That's my era.
Yes. Jake the Snake. I love Jake. I really do. Some of the oh man, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Let's move on from the mushrooms.
Dude, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes. So, but the big news in Denver was no franchise tags. Especially we talked about all these other guys. No franchise tag. The only guy that was really kind of worth it was Draymond Jones. But it seems it sounds a lot like what happened after the Super Bowl with I forgot his name. The other counterpoint to Derek Wolfe. What was the defensive lineman that went to Jacksonville? Why did I forget his name?
Jackson's
did nothing.
Last name.
Yes, sorry, forgot him. But anyways, he was on the Super Bowl 50 championship.
This is gonna piss me off. I gotta look it up now.
Yep, go ahead and look it up. But he took a $90 million deal with Jacksonville.
Hey, the one good season, but other than that,
yeah. So Draymond seems to be
Jackson.
Malik Jackson. There you go. Thank you very much, my man. Malik Jackson went and took the $90 million deal to go to Jacksonville while Derek Wolfe stayed on a haircut, which really ticked off.
And that was also the season we got Shelby.
Yes, that was the season that we got Shelby Harris off of the practice squad of the Raiders. Shelby. So do I. But he kind of disappeared in Seattle. We didn't really hear nothing about him this year. Yeah. That was kind of sad. I don't know. I don't think
you got to think of the systems he was put in. The system in Seattle was very different than the one.
Yeah, he was more about eating up space than being a penetrator there in Seattle. So I guess there's that. Maybe he was just that guy that just didn't show up on the stat sheet, so we didn't really hear much about him. But Draymond is really trying to reset the market, and he will be the best defensive lineman, especially the best 3-4 defensive lineman on the market. So he has a chance to get that $20 million a year. And George Payton's not ever going to give a player-friendly deal. If y'all have not paid attention, this man only hands out team-friendly contracts. You're good, my guy. Gazoon tight and all that good stuff. So Draymond, no tag. They still have until March 15th to negotiate. So it's not like he's just walking, but everything's pointing to the fact he's in the agency. Yeah, he will. Because again, he is the number one. He has already been told by the NFLPA. This is what happens every year. They give out a list of potential free agents, and they let every potential free agent know where they rank on that list. And Draymond Jones is at the top of the list. He knows he is the best commodity, and so therefore he's going to go out and get the best deal possible.
Respect on my man's name too.
Right. Draymond is legit. I'd hate to see him go. I would love to see him stay, but I also don't.
But if he does go, wherever he goes, you get a good guy, right?
Right. And you also can't overpay, especially when you're already dealing with a tight salary cap situation. The Broncos are, after the adjustments and the cap rollover, as I posted on Twitter earlier today, they are 6th. Exactly. Good job, my man. They are 6th in the league.
I pay attention.
Yes, you do. I know you do. I appreciate you. But yet 6th in the league currently, and they have done nothing when it comes to cutting any players. They're one of the few teams, actually, that have yet to cut any veteran players or announce anything. Again, a great show of how tight-knit this front office is. So stop listening to these guys that are out here running around talking about it. It's embarrassing because you don't hear enough out of Doug. No, they are just mad because they can't get the insider information they used to get from the loose-lipped regimes that were here beforehand. They don't like the fact that they don't get the exclusives and stuff that they used to with John Elway and John Ellis running the show. It's no longer that way. They have real owners and adults in every room. So be patient, Broncos country. If you see anybody talking about how embarrassing it is of how slow the Broncos are moving, you just know they are hacks. They are not journalists. They are not pundits. They are just clickbait artists.
Michaelis.
Plain and simple. Oh, there's many more than that.
Yeah, no, that's always the one I like to bring up.
I know. D-Mac, Darren McKee, the list goes on and on. Predominantly orange. All of 104.3. We'll just put them in, except for KJ. I will keep KJ.
KJ. We love KJ.
We love KJ. You the man. I'm sorry. I don't know how you deal with it as a producer. I give all the credit to you, my man. Nothing but love from here to KJ. Everybody else at 104.3 can stuff it. So with that being said, talking about local media.
Speaking of 104.3.
Right. Making a mountain out of a molehill. First-time coaches. Again, people are trying to make a big deal about it. But the problem is, this isn't a head coach that's a first-time coach. We're talking about a QB coach and a special
on a veteran staff
assistant.
On a veteran staff.
That are under guys that have tons of experience. Okay, Davis Webb, yes, he was on a roster last year. Chris Banjo, yes, he was on a roster last year. But guess what? They're not. They're not leading anything.
Right.
Davis Webb is a QB coach that is essentially an assistant QB coach. A bunch of y'all keep forgetting that, yes, Joe Lombardi is the offensive coordinator by name only. He is a lifelong QB coach. That is what Joe Lombardi's job has been. What I'm saying is, like, he has been a QB coach almost his entire career. He's got a couple of years of being an offensive coordinator, but almost his entire career is a QB coach. We got 2 QB coaches, one that's old and one that's young. You know what that means? There's a guy waiting in the wings to be learning under a guy that has been successful in the league.
And people are trying to
go ahead.
Just really dump on Davis Webb, but I really like him. I do.
I mean, he seems like a cerebral guy.
Right.
They talk about, like, he's got a file on his computer that has his playbooks dating back to high school. Right now.
He knows what he's talking about.
He is obviously a cerebral. He's a coach's kid. His dad was a coach. Like, it's not the same thing. It's not Nathaniel Hackett.
Now, if you hire Jamarcus Russell,
right,
then we have a problem.
Like, come on. Like, look at almost every former quarterback coach. Almost every quarterback coach that has ever been in the league was typically a backup quarterback in the league.
Thank you.
Almost never do you see a starting quarterback. They're almost all.
Even better, they were a quarterback in the NFL.
Right? Kellen Moore. I mean, the list goes on and on. Joe Lombardi. Come on, people. Like, he is the grandson of the Lombardi. You know, the guy that they named the trophy over?
Lombardi.
He is his grandson. So you don't think he can impart some knowledge on Davis Webb?
Right.
And you think that Davis Webb is going to be the only guy with his hands on Russell Wilson? Do you not know who Sean Payton is?
Do you not know? Do you not know? There is also, I know he's not really doing much in the front office, but you know who else he has to talk to. There's two guys in that. Both of them are in Denver. That's a John Elway and a Peyton Manning. Look at all the people around the Denver area that he still can talk to.
I mean, like, he lives in the same suburb as Drew Brees in San Diego in the offseason.
Drew Brees has just got to be an honorary QB coach at this point.
Drew Brees was so relieved when they announced Sean Payton was the coach because he was so tired of Russell Wilson blowing up his phone because of league rules. He wasn't allowed to directly contact Sean. So he was blowing up poor Drew Brees, and Brees is like, bro, I need you to do something because this guy is wearing me out. Like, Russ, I don't know why.
And if that doesn't show you that if that doesn't show you that he still has a drive to win, then I don't know what will.
I'm saying, like, the dude is constantly trying to get better. That's why I don't get this whole hate and vitriol for him. It's like, he is one of the hardest workers. That's my thing is, like, so is Kirk Cousins. He's the corniest.
Oh, but Kirk's white.
Exactly. Thank you, my guy. I am so glad you pointed that out. Because
he's a couple gringos like us.
Nobody
he's a gringo like us.
So, put it in short, again, if you're listening to pundits that think that essentially an assistant quarterbacks coach and an assistant special teams coordinator is somehow a bad thing for an overly veteran staff, like, outside of Vance Joseph and these two guys, almost everybody else is in their 60s. Like, you got to have young blood so that when these other coaches you look at it, even with into the sunset.
Vance Joseph, they've all had experience as a head coach or assistants. They've been around the league for a long
time. They all
time.
know what they're doing.
They've all played football. So. Some of them probably haven't played, but they've been around the game.
Even Joe Lombardi was a freaking interim coach at one point.
Right.
Like, every one of these guys are actually leading a unit. The special teams coordinator, the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, and the head coach are all experienced. So if they get some young assistants, so freaking what? Oh my God, I get it's the offseason. I get you guys are not creative, but come on. What is wrong with y'all? And then we have radio silence on some actual freaking news. It's insane. Like, for instance, Derek Wolfe tells all about his preseason stinger versus Seattle when he was 24 years old, just 2 years into the league. This man, I mean, it's insane. If y'all have not seen or read the story, just Google it. This man was paralyzed, was temporarily paralyzed.
Is this the one where he was in a coma too, or is that the other one?
Well, it's the same season.
That's right. He did it in the same season.
Yeah, in the preseason, he had a stinger. They called it a stinger,
right?
Kind of like the concussion that Tua.
I did listen to the whole podcast of him when he was on Rogan.
Him and Joe Rogan. Like, dude, this is insane to me. He was paralyzed.
Hunting a lot, but
and 2 weeks later, he played a preseason game. It wasn't the first. No, he played a preseason, and then 10 weeks into the season, because of that stinger, which actually turned out that his spine was bruised and it had inflamed to the point he wasn't getting fresh oxygen to his brain. So he ended up having a severe seizure that put him into a coma for 36 hours.
He was back on the field next week, baby.
He went back on the field a couple of weeks later to finish the season.
I think he missed just that next game. That was it.
Yeah, it was, dude. That's insane to be.
No, I think if I'm remembering this season, I think they went into a bye week after that.
Right.
So he was there for the next game. He should have been out for weeks.
He was 24 years old. No wonder the man only made it 9. I can't believe he made it 9 years. He made it 7 more years. He went out and played defensive line for 7 more years.
Got himself a ring, baby. I miss D-Wolf on the field.
Man. I do, but I mean, it makes so like.
Right.
He's got to have CTE now.
Oh yeah.
Like, that it makes so much of what he does, the way he talks, the way he acts, it makes so much more sense now. I knew it was bad, but my God.
And I also, when you hear him talk about his past, I think it's got to be a mix of both. It's definitely a mix of both.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't say it's one thing or the other, but it's both. It's a mix of both.
Yeah, I'm saying what happened on the field exacerbated whatever damage came beforehand. I will agree. It's a mixture of both. I agree with you on that. Like,
say it's not one or the other. It's just
right. It's everything mixed into a pot. And that poor man, I just feel sorry for him once he gets into his later years. Like, the fact that he sacrificed so much for this game.
What's crazy?
Really kind of got screwed in it all. Like, they used that again. Like, that's the thing that really screws with me, is that when it came time for his next contract, they used that. It's why he went to Baltimore.
It was his elbow. That was the elbow.
Yeah, the elbow and then the neck. That's what they used against him, and why he went to Baltimore to finish his career. Like,
still retired Bronco.
And that tells you why. And like, that's what makes me mad about these people that want to talk about players ensuring that they get, is like Lamar Jackson, like, oh, take a pay cut for the team. Why? Look at what just happened. Look at Derek Wolfe. Look at this man. Look at what they've done to him. And he had to retire before he was 30.
You know who takes pay cuts? Older quarterbacks. Older. Yeah. Like go back, look at Brady. Once Brady started getting older well into his career, he took pay cuts because he wanted to win, because he didn't know how much longer he had. Same with Elway.
But that's a quarterback and different, and he played a different type of game. He wasn't exposed as
But then you got to think about, though, is also with the injuries.
Yeah.
It's like, but like, once you're older in your career, you could probably care less about that. And you're probably done after this season or whatever. And this is like a Lamar. He takes one bad hit.
Yeah, and Lamar isn't getting Uggs sponsorships. Like, that's a lot of thing that people don't talk about with Tom, is like, he was able to take less because, number one, his wife was worth more than him. She's a billionaire model.
Ex-wife.
Well, ex-wife now. That rich people make no sense. You got a billionaire. She's never. If I got a billionaire I'm married,
I'm retiring.
She's never an ex-wife.
Yeah.
She doesn't get to be an ex-wife. She's stuck with
slap me in the maid outfit and I'll clean.
I know you're watching right now. I'm telling you, you make $1 million, you're stuck with. You don't get to be my ex-wife. It's over. I'm sorry. It's your fault. And we're just.
It's on you. It's your fault.
It's your fault. So that makes no sense to me. But again, different strokes, different folks. I don't know how the rich life works. I'm not Tom Brady. I don't have models throwing themselves at me all the time. Maybe that's the perspective I'm missing. But even then,
that's true.
I don't care about a broke model when I got a billionaire at home. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Like,
isn't he dating some new, younger model? Has that been confirmed?
I'm sure he's going to be the next Leo DiCaprio. Like, you can't be over 26 and date me or something. I don't know.
Oh, Leo. I love your movies, but man,
I know. As a human, who knows? But
great human, but dating life is just the weird part.
Right. The biggest thing about this, though, with the whole Derek Wolfe story, is, does any of this surprise you?
Not really, but kind of.
Right? Isn't that the sickest part about it? Is that it doesn't surprise? It's like, oh yeah.
It doesn't surprise me, but then you're just like, man.
But then, exactly. It's just like, golly, like, this man literally
wanted to surprise me
on the field. You wanted
to surprise me.
But
hey, that's not gonna stop me from loving the guy. I won't listen to the show because you know.
Yeah, because I swear it's an act at this point. Like, so many at 104.3.
But it's great. He's still around the facility. You can't
find that many insufferable people on Indeed. Okay, that's my thing. Like,
and it's probably got to be. It's probably got to be. He signed up for there. They talked him up. He gets on the show and he realizes, oh, we got to be like this. I'm hoping that's what it is. You're not sure if it is.
Yeah, but
we'll never know. But but that's not gonna stop me from loving the guy for what he did in Denver for 7 years. Yeah, 7 years.
Moving on from depressing injury news onto positive
I'm excited for
injury
this one.
News. We have some updates. Tim Patrick on track for week 1.
Oh,
how much was he missed in 2023?
Very much.
All of the misses, all of the things, I honestly believe this offense, even with all the offensive line issues, because of how good he was, how trustworthy he was, he would
such a
have
good
been
jump.
the number one pick. Yeah, I mean, he's just so good in everything. Like he's not the fastest, he's not the strongest, but he's 6'5", and he has hands that are given to him by God himself. Like the man just doesn't drop anything.
I love people are trying to talk the duo of Jerry and Cortland. That's not the duo. The duo is
It's
Cortland and Timmy P. No, I was just saying, but if we go, it's a trio for sure. But if you go in duo, I'm taking Timmy P and I'm taking Court all day.
Dude, 6'5" and 6'4" on the outside, a 6'1" slot.
I love Jerry, right? But like, if I had these two on the outside, I don't need anything else for now.
Right, but I mean, even like you can put them all three because you can put the two big guys on the outside and let Jerry just go, just absolute.
And then you got KJ in the mix there too.
Yeah, and then KJ just running down the field past.
I hope he's on track too, man. I hope he's healthy this year.
Yeah,
that was another miss this year. Was a KJ. A lot of people don't really talk about that, but it was just one of those where if we had
when he was on the field, it was a
rookie and second season KJ out there. My God.
Yeah. Oh, when he was out there, like you saw the flashes, like that deep pass that Russ threw off his back foot 50 yards in the air that KJ was able to come down with at the 2-yard line against the Panthers and stuff. Like you saw the flashes, you saw the potential that he could have done a lot of the things.
And
that
then
like
you get all those guys back together,
and stuff.
Plus a Jay Will.
Oh yes. That's so, and also Jay Will, the Grim Reaper. He is actually on track to possibly pull an Adrian Peterson and be ready for week 1. They're even talking about he might make it into a preseason game or two. But
now
they pump the brakes a little bit.
Now here's what I'd say. I team doctors, if they clear him, they'll clear him, of course, if he's good to go.
I mean,
I need to hear from an actual doctor. Yeah, I need an actual doctor to clear KJ to go, or KJ for Jay Will to go week 1.
Yeah, I need an independent doctor. Exactly. Right. Yeah, I need somebody other than
if you can get Jay Will, if you can get Jay Will back at week 3 or 4.
Yes, I'd be happy with that. I mean, if he can somehow make it back to week 1, great. But preseason, I'm out.
If he's good to go week 1, I'm in. But if he's playing preseason, that's just another way to get him hurt.
Third-party doctor ready, not team doctor ready, because team doctors they're gonna clear a guy as long as they're not gonna die. Like if they can, as long as they are reasonably sure the player's not gonna die, they're gonna clear him. I know that sounds morbid, but it's just what the facts are.
And like you said, it's like an AP. You know, you're Adrian Peterson, but that's Adrian Peterson, man.
Right. But the thing is, like, he actually even has more time to recover because Adrian Peterson's happened like it was either the second to last or last game of the season. So
I think I thought it was. Wait, did they make the playoffs when he tore his in 2011? No, they missed it they missed it because they lost him late in the season.
For the last game or two, and then they got knocked out
because that was the first season without Favre.
Yep, exactly. So
he came back and rushed for 2K and an MVP season, man.
I completely lost my train of thought there. Anyways, talking about Jay Will coming back.
It's Tuesday.
If he comes back week 1, I'm okay with it. Preseason, I am not. Now, the last one that's coming up here is a guy, he's your guy, Garrett Bowles. He is set to actually come back as soon as OTAs. Does this heighten the trade talk, or would you rather see him maybe get out on the field before something like that happens?
I'd like to see him at training camp at least.
OTAs. Training camp's a long way off.
I know, but it's like OTAs, I would love to see. But here's the thing. It's not like he tore an ACL, an MCL, or an Achilles. He broke his leg, which is still serious, which is still very serious. Broke his leg. But those heal a lot quicker. Those heal a lot quicker.
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah,
that's just funny.
But it was like, but it's not like something that he didn't break it bad enough to end his career.
No. It was a break. It was a clean break as far as
and that's why he healed so quick. That's why he's ready to go by OTAs. It's not like he fractured it.
Yeah, his was a matter of they counted his recovery in weeks as opposed to like Javonte Williams and Timmy P, which was months, if not a year. Okay, so that's
I know that sounds so stupid. He just broke his leg.
He just broke his leg.
You got to know where I'm coming from, right? It's a quicker heal.
Yeah, there's a big differentiation between
And he's been working. From
fuse,
what
and
I've been
heal.
seeing
Yeah.
from him, he's been out there working. He's getting ready to go, and that's
And
what
broken
hypes me up.
bones are actually less worrisome than a
Yeah,
torn ligament.
because
Bones
by the
heal
time
much
those
better
heal,
than ligaments. They pretty
well,
much go back to normal, and
right, it's like by
sometimes
the
get
time that's
stronger.
healed, you're back at 100% pretty much.
Yeah, and
Unless
sometimes
you
you
like
come back stronger.
really messed it up.
Right. Yeah. Unless you
Not
you
like
get
an
a
Alex
compound
Smith.
fracture. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. You get
Have
a
you watched
compound
that
fracture.
documentary? I had to
Oh
ask
yes.
this.
Yeah. We've talked about it on here before.
Oh yeah.
Couple
Oh
of times.
yeah, because we did that.
We did a whole segment on it. Yeah, we did a whole segment on it.
Yeah, we did it like right before the season last year.
Last off season. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because it was because I think it came out.
It came out right
July.
after the Super Bowl. And it was like April or May.
I don't know, something like that.
It was sometime around the draft, I remember.
Right.
That was
yeah, that was fun. Ooh. Moving on to something else that's a lot less fun, which is lawsuits, and that is Brian Flores. And this is the big news that even today, like I really wanted to give these places a chance because this news broke now 5 days ago. Brian Flores' lawsuit against the Broncos, the Giants, and I forget the third team now,
Dolphins,
has been pushed forward. No, the Dolphins, that's one of the things here, is that the other three teams that that are in the lawsuit, those went forward. The one with the Dolphins, he has to go through an arbitrator. So the other three are going to a jury trial. The one with the Dolphins, because he actually worked for them, and he signed an agreement that said that he would use an arbitrator instead of the courts. They forced him into an arbitrator with the Dolphins. But the other three teams, the Giants, the Broncos, and again, I can't remember I think it's the Cardinals, but I'm not 100% sure. So don't.
That sounds right. That does sound right.
But those three teams are going to a jury trial. And the biggest thing was the stinging documentation from the judge where he told the NFL to their faces he could not understand how at the time of this lawsuit that Brian Flores brought forward, there was only one black head coach in a league of 32 teams with an average representation of black players at over 70%. Like, he broke it down into numbers for these guys of how their discrimination did not make sense. So with that on the docket and then going to a jury trial with his peers is, to me, a non-legal mind, is a very damning thing, even for the Broncos. And all that I've said previously, we all know how I've said that I don't like that he added him, not because I'm a Broncos fan, but because the allegations he made against the Broncos, which, if you don't remember, was that John Elway and company came in drunk and disheveled.
Yeah, him and Ellis.
Interview. Yeah, him and Ellis came in drunk and disheveled from a plane ride, which, if y'all don't remember, back then, they had just got done with a 16-hour interview the day before with Vic Fangio, and then took an overnight red-eye charter flight to I think it was Chicago or Detroit, one of the two places, where they had to meet with Brian Flores, because it was the only time he could meet was at 8:00 that morning, due to, I don't know if he was in the playoffs with the team or whatever the case may be. And he said that they didn't.
Well, he got hired going into the 2017 season, right? 2017, 2018.
I believe so, something like that.
So,
but they didn't negotiate in good faith. That they had already decided on Vic Fangio the night before, and
he was the on
showed up.
Because I think he was in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was when he was an assistant coach. He wasn't.
But where was it at? Was it in Chicago?
Yeah, it was somewhere wherever. It was just he was in the playoffs and they had to go. That wasn't really important. It was just the fact that they had to go to him.
Right.
And they did a red-eye flight overnight, got in maybe 2 hours before the interview, slept on the plane. So they might have been disheveled, but nothing in this has any type of proof that they were drunk or disheveled. Like, he has no video evidence. He has no audio evidence. There's nothing he has on the Broncos. Now, when it comes to like the whole situation in New York with the Giants, that's a different thing, because he's got emails and text messages that he got from Bill Belichick. Because that's why he was with the Patriots. That's where he was in the playoffs with the Patriots. That's why they had to meet him in some other city, because that's what he had. Because he was the defensive coordinator for the Patriots. That's why they had to go
linebackers coach.
Or linebackers. Yes, my bad. Linebackers coach, assistant, defensive something, whatever. But anyways, that's why. So that brings that full circle. But
won?
The whole situation is that he is accusing these teams of simply using him to appease the Rooney Rule, that they didn't actually give him a fair shake in the interview process. And the judges agreed. And it was actually kind of worrisome. I figured he might screw himself because I have no problem with Brian Flores filing a lawsuit. I have no problem with him filing a lawsuit against the Broncos as long as he has the evidence to support it. That was my worry, is that what seemed like frivolous things with the Broncos could undo the other good things that could come from this lawsuit. Like, I want to be absolutely clear on that. I am completely behind Brian Flores, even with him suing the Broncos. I don't care. My only worry was,
isn't he? Or is he suing Joe Ellis and John Elway?
No, he's suing the Broncos. He's each organization because they got more money. He's suing the people with the most money, and now he's suing the people with literally the most money when it comes to the Broncos owners.
Dude. They got them Walmart lawyers.
Right. Exactly. So that's my worry, is like, I was worried about who might become the Broncos owner, what they might be able to do to fight him, and the way that lawyers are able to twist things. And then you got one thing here that they can use to make everything else look bad. Like, they can, if they find one little issue with the Broncos thing that they can twist, they will use that one little thing to bastardize the entire lawsuit and make him look frivolous. That's my worry. I'm glad it's worked for him so far, and I hope it doesn't screw him going forward. But as of right now, it looks like his argument's solid enough for judges, and conservative judge at that, to go ahead and push this through. So that's where we stand at, is he's going to go to a jury. So it's going to be a jury of his peers are going to decide whether or not, oh no, you're good. Whether or not he's going to get paid from this lawsuit, which is really, really bad for the NFL, because along with this lawsuit, guess what comes with it? Discovery. And what comes with discovery?
Jobs.
Evidence. Oh my God. You're right. No, it's evidence. And so this means that we could potentially start seeing the NFL books that they've been trying to hide so much, that they can start diving into areas that the NFL does not want in the public domain. And so that's why this lawsuit is so huge. And the fact that it's going to instead of an arbitrator, which would keep everything private, we are going to a public trial. So that means anything that happens in this trial is going to be, by law, accessible to the public, to us.
And also, while we're on the topic of lawsuits, when's the Gruden NFL one supposed to go to trial? Have they gotten to that point yet?
I don't know, honestly, actually. I have not heard anything of that.
I haven't heard about that in a while.
I mean, to me, that was always a frivolous thing. I didn't really see him being, that just seemed like a guy trying to save face and be like, hey,
but I remember hearing some judges had agreed.
Me. Yeah, like, there's been some things back and forth. He's had to appeal and stuff like that. But honestly, it's just a white guy whining, so I haven't paid that much attention. So that's kind of a rich white guy whining. I just don't tend to, I tend to tune those things out.
Angry old man yells at cloud.
Right. So to me, honestly, again, I am not a lawyer. This is all allegedly, blah, 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 all that legal speak. But to me, this has some serious teeth, and this could do some serious damage to the NFL, to the Shield, and to their integrity, and could expose a lot of things that Roger Goodell does not want. So, with that being said, we might see a settlement. We might see Brian Flores on an NFL roster getting a lawsuit settlement.
I'd say it's a 50-50.
And pretty much at this point, because it's really going to depend on what evidence that the judges allow into the public domain. If it starts getting nitty-gritty dirty and they start pulling out all the stops, I see the NFL caving and taking one for the team and just doing the settlement. But if they don't press the issue, then it could be a long drawn out fight.
And we'll see who's greedy or not, who wants to take a settlement or not, whether it's Flores or if it's the team or the orgs.
And the thing with them taking a settlement, though, is like I think that's what like the catch-22 with Brian Flores is. There's so many people out there that are just waiting. They're like, oh, if he takes a settlement, then look, he just wanted the money. It was all about the money. They're already saying it, and they haven't even went to trial yet. So if it does happen, like he will get destroyed in the media. It's gross. It shouldn't happen, but it will.
Oh, hell of a DC.
So. Yes, I do agree. He is a legitimate coach. He was a legitimate head coach.
He was a legitimate head coach.
I think he deserved to get more time.
He at least deserved another season.
Yeah, I agree that with his assessment that his firing from the Dolphins was personal. And he might be that guy that's kind of, like a Matt Patricia or pretty much any other assistant that ever came out of New England. It's just, insufferable. And people can only take that for so long. It rubs people the wrong way too quickly. So there's that possibility. But as far as a head coach and his players loved him. They fought for him. They played with everything they had. Yeah. So the players loved him. So whatever the case may be, there's definite teeth to this lawsuit. The NFL needs to get ready. They need to buckle down because it's obvious Brian Flores is here for real. This all started a year ago, and he's still fighting it, even though he got a job. Like, I love that fact. I love the fact that he took the job and he stuck through with the lawsuit.
Imagine he came to the Broncos and kept. Imagine he came to the Broncos and kept it going.
Bro, that would have been the ultimate, just nothing but a G thing, baby.
Right.
Like, the ultimate gangsta move ever.
I got nothing against the people in this building.
Twice. Right.
I got nothing against the people in this building. It's the other people. So.
Right. The ones that aren't here anymore.
Right. One's still there technically.
Kind of in a small capacity. Yeah. He's still got an office. So yeah, he's around technically in John Elway. But
how do you say no to a John Elway? Right.
Right. Like, you keep him around. You give him a little bit of a title, but he has no more power. He doesn't have any of the power he used to. He's got the job he wants. He's essentially an ambassador now. He just gets to be the Bronco great that hangs around the facility.
And then he just gets to chill in the booth during the games.
Yeah, exactly.
Got a fat lip in.
He gets to be the football guy. That's all. It's cool.
Those are the best. So whenever it would cut to Johnny in the booth, he's just got a lip in, watching him lose.
Exactly. But speaking of coaches that aren't in the NFL and deserve to be, what about Wade Phillips in this XFL? He's 3-0. He has been undefeated. BS. He has not lost a game in the XFL yet.
I love that.
Absolute cheat code. So we are going to make it official. If we have an XFL team, it's the Houston Roughnecks because of the son of Bum. Like I was going to put out a Twitter poll and everything.
Son of God is what you mean. The God of D. It's the God of D right there.
The God of defense. The God of war. Kratos.
It's a great game. I love.
Yes. Oh God. Yes.
I know where you're coming from. I haven't played the new one, but
it's so good.
It hasn't came out on PC yet. I gotta wait a year or two.
I know. You're a PC gamer. I got a console.
Superior is what you mean.
No. PS5, baby, all the way. I'll take it. Now, my son probably will agree with you. He's been bugging me about getting a gaming rig for so long, but we're broke. So
you just got 2 dogs. So.
Right? He got a dog. So that's the compromise.
And you got huskies too, dude. You got balls.
Yes.
Those are loud. They're loud.
Oh, they're wonderful. They love to sing the song of their people. Most definitely. Right. They're very
I got a lab, dude. They just care about the ball and that's it.
Right. Yeah. No. These two, they're absolute characters. Athena and Raya are their names for all of you that don't know. You should by now because I posted them all over.
If you want to talk personality in a dog, it's my brother's dog, Bandit, for sure. This dog, man. My brother have conversations with him because he'll grunt back at him. He'll walk into his office when we're playing games.
From Wade Phillips to dogs.
Yeah,
that's great.
Even though
I'm pretty sure he wouldn't care. He'd be like, "Yeah, dogs. Dogs are awesome."
He'll just walk in and he's just like, "What do you need, Bandit?" You say, "You go outside."
Yeah, ours like to talk. Most definitely, they talk a lot. Especially
you got
their favorite thing. They got to come to me. Every morning I wake up, I get yelled at because I haven't petted them yet. So the first thing I got to do is I have to pet them because otherwise
bring them to Holyoke. Let them hear the fire whistle. Let them get that experience.
Oh goodness,
dude, my dog did Libby. She'll howl. I never hear a howl until the whistle goes off.
Right? Oh, I'm sure they would. They already do they're like that. Wow, wow, wow,
Well,
wow.
but they'll scream. They won't howl. They'll scream.
Yes, these two they would. They're so loud and they love to talk and they love attention.
Huskies,
They're
man.
very effective. Yeah, they're the best though. They're freaking awesome.
Oh my!
And I love them.
You gotta
They're
love
awesome.
Huskies.
You do. They're a trip. But back to Wade Phillips and the XFL and viable products. Have you seen that on the field? Like, are they finally here to stay, or do we still need to worry whether or not they're going to make it?
Sure. That
sounded real convincing, my guy.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Not sure on that one.
I don't know.
I haven't been paying much attention to the XFL with postseason basketball going on right now.
I got you.
It's been a busy couple of weeks.
I hear you, but no, I mean,
we couldn't do the show because of the state basketball last night.
It's all right.
Yeah, I had to go interview teams. I have to go back tomorrow and interview again.
They pay you, so that's okay.
Right. It's funny is I did that last night. They're like, we need you to go do more. All right, I'll be there tomorrow.
The biggest thing that worries me is the abysmal ratings. Like the product on the field is not terrible.
It's not. It's entertaining.
It can be entertaining. There's been some really awesome plays, some really awesome things that have happened.
It's football.
Yeah, it seems it's legit football. It's not what the XFL was.
Right.
Like the XFL before was like WWE and pads. This
I love that,
bit better. This is a bit better.
Jabroni.
Yeah, ever since the first week, they've kind of laid down on the theatrics, which I like. Like I understand
you got to show out.
Hype up. You got to show out. But hey, let's settle it down a little bit. Let's not have The Rock cutting promos at every team game. You know what I'm saying?
See, but that was the great thing about that.
The biggest thing is the ratings. They have averaged about 500,000 viewers, and that might sound really good. But then you look at the fact that the NBA All-Star Game had the lowest ratings ever at 4.6 million.
Well, the All-Star Game just gets boring. That makes sense.
Right. Over 4 times more. But I'm saying, like,
right.
That was the lowest rating they've ever had for an All-Star Game of 4.6 million. The XFL is averaging 500,000.
What's crazy about that is when you say
ESPN.
that, it's like when you say that just reminds me, it's just like, it was like, what it was a couple years ago when the World Series broke like their all-time viewership record. I forgot which years it was, but then you look at it and you go, oh, you just look at the average NFL game. It's double.
It's so much more. Exactly. But that's the thing is like,
that's just what that reminds me of. That's their lowest.
Right. That's their low. But even if you want to go to the NFL, the college football, even their Division II games, we're averaging over 2 million viewers on ESPN.
3 times
that's
more.
For teams. That's for games like the University of Alabama Birmingham versus Moorhead. Okay, so that's why,
Mines, man.
Right? Exactly. Like that's the type of viewership that they are getting at this point. If that doesn't pick up, and what that's going to entail is the fact they got to score points. They had one game last weekend where the teams combined for more than 30 points. Combined for more than 30 points. And that was the one game that a team scored 30 and the other team scored 26. Every other game was, one other game, the Houston game, they got 33 points. So just barely over 30 points combined. You know what I'm saying? So they have to score. They've got to open up and they've done really everything they can. Now, something started to break. They had some really long returns this last weekend. So I think the players are starting to get used to those weird kickoff return rules that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that
that was a big part of it is some of these rules that they have to get used to, especially for the ex-NFL guys.
Yes. Especially the kickers. Like, I'm sorry, but there's not going to be a single kicker to come from the XFL because of how weird their rules are, unless the NFL adopts their rules. Like, even on the punt, like the weirdest one is the punt. Like, you can't coffin corner. Like, you can't pin your team, the other team, inside the 20 or the 10. If it goes out of bounds between the 30 and the end zone, it goes back to the 35. The 35.
See, I don't like that because dude,
Like,
that's the best part, dude. Watching a punter
right.
just boot one down to the 1
That
yard line.
coffin corner and that thing just popped down at the 1 yard. That's one of the coolest
Dude,
things. Like, it doesn't happen
I think I love Pat
often.
McAfee so much. That man was just dinging them on the 1 yard line like it was
Right.
golf.
Just dropping them, just those sand wedge punts. Like, those are some of the best. Like, those things I don't like, but I get it. Like, you got to do something.
Imagine a Corliss
different.
Waitman in there right now.
Right. I mean, like,
What
we even
is-
saw like Sean King. Like, I think
Sean King, yeah, even any punter
he
you can
looks
think
so
of.
weird. Like, you could tell like he still has an NFL leg, but he was trying not to use it because
Right.
he knew if he punted it into the end zone or punted it out of bounds at the 5 yard line, it was coming back out to the 35. That's insane to me. Like, I get you might want to do something to, but I get what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure that the punter puts it in play and gives the punt returner a chance, because you also can't leave until the ball is punted and caught.
Right.
There's just so many weird things. Like, also the kickoff, they're lined up 5 yards apart and they can't move until the ball is caught or it's hit the ground for like 7 seconds, which is so arbitrary. Like, who knows what 7 seconds is?
Dude, I want to watch a returner get laid out by a linebacker, man.
Right. Like, I like the fact that, it's safer. They haven't had, I think they've had like 1, maybe 2 injuries so far in 2 weeks on special teams, which that typically happens on a single return in every single game in the NFL. So, like, I like those things, but there's just some of those things. Like I said, the punt return, they just got to do something that opens up the offenses. And I think a lot of that has to go. Also, they have really bad offensive line play. Like, I have yet to see a single offensive lineman that I'm like, I think he could play in the NFL. Like, not a single one of them. Yeah. And even Wade Phillips said it when he was talking about his draft strategy. He's like, I went so heavy on the defensive line and pass rushers because I know how hard it is to find offensive linemen. So he's like, I'm just going to beat them in the head every single game. And it's like, why he's undefeated.
If I'm Wade Phillips, I'm drafting defensive players only.
Right? Yeah, the same. Like, he probably has the 3rd or 4th best quarterback, but again, the best team, because he knows how to evaluate the talent, and it's why he's a cheat code. It's like Hines Ward, way over his head. I'd be listening to him because you can hear, because in the XFL, you get to hear everything every coach says. That's another thing that's so weird to me. I know the playbooks of every team because I get to hear their play call every play.
And like, what's the rule of people not listening to it? They're gonna hear it at some point.
Dude, I'm saying that's a future cheating scandal waiting to happen.
And you know what that reminds me of? The fan control football
baseball?
league.
Why not football?
You remember the fan control football league?
Yes.
It was like that indoor. It was like the arena football, and everybody, the fans, got to choose the plays.
Yes. Like, it was Madden. It was so bad. Johnny Manziel. Like,
the only good thing that came out of that was Josh Gordon.
Yes, I know. And even Josh Gordon's in the XFL. Like,
yeah,
that man, the greatest what if story, maybe in NFL history, all because of marijuana.
Know what I hate? Like, haven't they taken it off the list at this point?
Yes, at this point. They did.
How is he not allowed in the league?
During the pandemic, they stopped testing for it.
I'm pretty sure it's every major sport has, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think every major sport during the pandemic, if they hadn't already, they stopped testing for it. And none of them have started back up.
Now imagine.
But I mean, he's like 35 now, so teams
right.
and
but like imagine
like, he's old and blah blah blah.
Like, not even just Josh Gordon. Imagine all these players that could have benefited from weed or the marijuana.
I mean, just imagine. Okay,
right?
It does so much for people with PTSD. You don't think it could help with CTE?
Right. Concussions in general. It helps with concussions, especially for medical.
Right. Yes. Dude, there's so many
and pain. Imagine you get these guys hopped up on painkillers.
Right. And instead, like, that's why Josh Gordon did it most of the time. Where he was like, I don't want to take those pills. And
mouth pain.
Right.
Right here.
Just give me a joint. I don't want a pill. I don't want to suck down some chemical.
I'd rather smoke weed than OD on an opioid.
Yeah, I'm saying that. Or get addicted to them.
Or get addicted to opioids,
like,
right?
Look at what happened to Ryan Leaf because of them stuffing pills down his throat. So, I mean,
that's another
sad.
Man, what a career cut short.
Right. So, Hopefully, maybe Josh Gordon can make it back in the league. I've liked what Max Borghi has done as the running back for Wade Phillips. Brandon Silvers looks like a viable possible backup in the league. So AJ McCarron starting to show that he still has.
I'm pretty happy for AJ McCarron, man.
Yeah,
look what he did there.
His boys getting to see him play
right?
and all that.
Look what he got to do in college, and then and hey, even he had some bright spots in the NFL. He pretty much led the Bengals to the playoffs when Sandy Dalton went down.
Right, exactly. So
of course, you had to run into Big Ben, and then Vontaze Burfict just had to give Antonio Brown CTE.
Yep. And since we brought up Antonio Brown, that's where we're going to end this episode. We're not going down that rabbit hole, but no, seriously, I already hear dogs in there.
We talked enough about him.
Yeah, we talked enough. Plus, I hear dogs in there getting antsy. They probably need to go out, and I need to go get my family some dinner. So it's late. We need to get moving. We appreciate y'all for coming and showing up, showing us some love. Make sure you hit that like button, the subscribe button if you haven't already. And also remember, we are on Patreon now. The link is down in the description. So if you feel like giving us a monthly or one-time donation, we love you. We appreciate you. But again, if you don't have money to give, that's perfectly fine. That like, subscribe, and bell notification icon, smash all three of those red buttons, launch the nukes, clear the way so we can bring you the news the way that you deserve. Right here for the Breaakin Broncos podcast, I am the host, Dan Wetstein. That's Dylan Miles. And for the answer is 42, don't question the blue.